then loons can be on it and loons can have successful chicks. Only a half a chick every other year is the national average. So that means one chick every other year. If your lake or your lake territory, there's 10 territories out there in Shagawa, but if your lake or your territory that you're working on can just get at least one chick every other year, that's staying up to the national average. Okay, so I did 8 years in 8 seasons in Wisconsin, and then I also came to Minnesota after graduating, after retiring. So graduating, retiring, whatever you want to call it. So since then, I got hooked up with the Minnesota DNR LoonWater program. Now they have 2 programs. One program is you have to do a lake, they tell you, because it's lakes that they've started back 45 years ago. Eric Hansen started it, and he is now in Vermont and doing loon research there. But he started that program, and so you have to pick one of their lakes. But none of those lakes are close to Ely, so I wanted to do the lakes that were closest to us. So I found about the DNR LoonWater program, which a 3rd grader can do. It's easy. It's 1 sheet of paper. You can do more if you want. You just have to start in May, then do May, June, July, August. I usually do September because there's still stuff going on, but you can do that, and then you just hand it in by December 1st. And I've got information out on the table. If you just want to look at it and grab one of those papers, you can do that. That paper kind of looks like this, and it will give you all the information for it. And then I also have some handouts if you're going to get serious about it. We have lots of good loon watchers here that have been reporting to me and sending their stuff into the DNR. So then, while I was doing that, I got hooked up with James Paruk again because he found out that some of our loons are not going to the ocean. Where are they going? And what are they doing? So that is part of what this is about. So I did not bring any pictures of the summer and the breeding, because you know a lot about that if you've been listening to me all these years, okay? But what we have now is the wintering common loons. Where are some of them going? And we do have one that is banded at Lake Jocassee that actually came from Upper Cormorant Lake in Minnesota. So once you ban them, of course, then you can add them in the,
Can you help me lift them in or?
It's okay. Check. You guys okay? Okay, so we're going to be talking all about wintering stuff. I've been doing this for over 8 years now. They've been doing it for 10 years. And Dr. Jay Nager is in charge of it, and Dr. James Paruk. And then they do the, one of the researchers does the data on one boat, and then I do the data on the other boat. So I go there the first week of March, and that's for the loon winter behavior with Jay Nager. And then the last week of March, I go back with James Paruk, and that's the wild chaos of migration, where you're trying to count 100 of them dropping out of the sky late in the evening because they just came from Florida and the Gulf, and then other ones that are going to leave early in the morning. 500 hoots. Did you ever hear that many hoots? I have. 500 hoots. Why are they hooting? Because they're getting ready to take off to get up here. So they're leaving Jocassee and trying to head up north. So anyway, you can see Lake Jocassee is in the mountains. Okay, we're not on the ocean. Loon research on the ocean is very difficult. I'm picking the easy one, okay? It's a fresh lake. It's a fresh, beautiful lake in the mountains. It's got some islands and bays. It's got like 7, 8 rivers. So we're going to learn about what's going on there. And we got some picture in the corner there with them. So our basic outline. Where are loons going during the winter, and what are they doing? This is the most present research I can give you from the last 10 years on the wintering loon behavior and the survival skills on the freshwater. How do loons prepare for spring migration? They eat, 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 a little bit of resting, a little bit of preening, eat, 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 eat. Okay, lots of migration going on. What is left to learn about the wintering loons that we haven't figured out yet? And there's a picture of part of our crew, and look at that loon. Does it look like the loons you usually see in the summer? No, and that's great. So make sure you're paying attention to the pictures, because they are, so why study wintering loons? Well, again, they're an indicator species of a healthy, good habitat, a good lake. Little is known about the wintering compared to the breeding area, but Cornell, the eBird program, has found that on their maps there seems to be a bunch of loons that are now skipping the ocean and going to the southern areas of our United States and doing some of those islands, some of those inland lakes. Okay, so it has to be pretty clear water. Jocassee has a second dish reading of like 20-something, 21, 22, 23 feet. So it's very, very, and it stopped. So tell me, who were the dudes that just were the 240 flaps per minute going as fast as they can to the ocean, down to the Gulf, and then they said, oh, look, there's some loons down there. They look happy. And then they dropped down there and they said, okay, we're going to start doing this instead. I don't know exactly how that helped, but the researchers say that if they see loons in a lake, they may drop down and rest and figure out. So apparently some of them, we don't know how many, it might just be 10%. With most of them, 90% going to the ocean. But anyway, some of that is still unknown. So the winter study focuses on change in patterns, and then we're comparing the freshwater behaviors to the ocean marine areas. Ocean is really hard. You know, you got sharks, and the ones that come from Maine and go to they get seals too. Bit and killed by seals. There's storms, there's murky waters, there's boats, there's nets, there's all kinds of danger there. And are both the adult and subadults using these freshwater lakes in our southern areas? Can we document the advantages of overwintering on the freshwater? Mortality, storms, water quality, predators, salt glands. We captured some of those and we touched around their salt glands up above the eyes. Their salt glands are not working at all. Oh, they don't have to work because they're in fresh water. That means they have more time to eat, more time to relax, more time to find more food. Where on the ocean, those salt glands are always having to work really hard, just like in a sea turtle, to get rid of those salt, because that becomes dangerous for them. Any information that we can learn about our bandit birds that we've had there in freshwater setting. And do loons go to the same winter place? Do they have fidelity like they do here, where they try to go to the same breeding place? So here's a group of them. Can you see how different they look? Very different, just a few spots. That head isn't black at all yet. This one still has a white cheek. There's another one with a white cheek. They really have more brownish eyes, not really red eyes. I don't know how many of these are, how many of these have been here longer. This is like just the beginning of the molt. The molt can take a month or two to get done, but you can see they look very different than ours, don't they? They don't have the black head. The first thing that happens here at the breeding, when you know they're going to leave, they get what around their face? kind of like Elton, very gray around the face. Okay, I love to eat him. Very gray around the face. In fact, I had somebody say, Sherry, I saw the grandparents. I said, what do you mean you saw the grandparents? Well, they were gray all around their face. And I had to tell her, no, that's not the grandparents. That's the parents changing their molt. The first way that we know they're ready to leave us is they start to get that gray around the face. But what's really interesting is when I'm there in the winter, the black head is the last thing to come on. So then we know the hormones are kicked up and they're ready to get back up here. All right, so here's an example. Lake Jocassee is all these rivers here. There's a bunch, like 7 different rivers that go in. Of course, it was flooded, like many of the lakes in the south. They're not natural. They were all rivers. So we call this the basin. There's the Lower Toxaway, Upper Toxaway, horse pasture where Bob always hangs out. And then there's the other Whitewater and Thompson over there. It's a temperate rainforest, so it gets rain. Sometimes we're rained on. So, you know, nobody's there in their swimming suit. It is still winter. It is a winter habitat. A temperate rainforest. It has over 16 waterfalls. It has 7 rivers and creeks, and it's called the Blue Ridge Escarpment. So there's one of the migration. Others from the Midwest, and also the ones from Canada would be doing that. Some of those would be doing that from the middle part of Canada, either going to the Gulf or going to this side on the Atlantic, where the ones in New England, easy, 2 hours, you're there. 2 hours, you're there. Wow, that's way different than ours. We have to go over 1,000 miles, almost 2,000 miles. Okay. So there's the other map, and I have several of those out on the table, so you can go look at those, so you can see some of the other areas where loons are, and then where they end up going in the fall.
A brief interlude.
Yes.
Sorry.
A brief interlude. Okay, am I supposed to dance or something?
You're welcome to.
Okay, everyone stand up and do 240 flaps per minute. 240, can you imagine that? That's like over 3 flaps per second. I can't do
70 miles an hour.
Thank you, great question. That's a great thing to do right now. Some of the questions while Lacey is getting her technology organized. Yes, they can go anywhere from 70 to 75 miles per hour. And interestingly, they open their bill to get air in there because they're too hot all the time. They're a heavy bodied, you know, and they're working really hard. They've got dense bones, so they're 10 pounds. Eagle is also 10 pounds, but they have hollow bones like most birds. So they can go 100, they can go up to 70 to 75 miles per hour. They have their beak, and put your hands together like that, like you're kind of going to pray. Okay, now take them apart. Now they're great big feet on a loon. Now put them together. They're a rudder. They're a rudder. Yeah, isn't that something? I've seen it. I didn't believe it, but then I saw it. They use it as a rudder. So that's pretty amazing.
How far can they go before they rest?
Good question. How far can they go before they rest? Usually 8 hours. The ones that I know about that have been clocked by Kevin Kinu, the USGS, who is in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. He says, according to his documentation and the satellite that they had on them, they did the one that they know is what did the farthest, which might not be the farthest, but was the farthest that they had, was 650 miles in 8 hours straight, no resting, with 70 something miles per hour with the tailwind. So 8 hours, no stopping. So when they land in one of these freshwater lakes or in the ocean, they're exhausted. Sometimes we see them and they're just in there. okay? So then we have to, watch them a little bit longer to see if they recover. But yeah, good question.
I remember. Excuse me, that loons in New England are larger than our loons, is that right?
Yes, that is
So does, so I'm.
14 to 16 pounds.
Right, so they have a shorter migration.
Yes, very good. You made the two connect. You are really, are you one of the higher students?
So evolutionarily, our loons have just not gotten as large because they have to fly so much farther.
And to take it one step farther, the loons, the common loons, because there's 5 different kinds of loons, 5 different species, I should say. The common loons that are in the middle of Canada, they're even smaller than ours. So yeah, they have a longer period. So evolutionary, it kind of makes sense. Yes.
Does the molting, besides directly related to breeding and all of that, does it have any functionality for their migration when they molt?
They can't fly if they're molting. Some birds, and some of you guys are better birders than, a lot of you guys are better birders than me, but many birds shed some of their feathers a couple times a year, right? Loons only change their flight feathers once a year in the winter. So it's that January, February time. Some of them only take a month. Why? Are they faster? Are they more nutrient? Are they getting better food? I don't know. But, and other ones take closer to 2 months. 2 months, so that they can't fly. And because they can't fly, it's easier for us to keep up with them. And we're doing our data, we get a whole hour on them. Does that make sense? Okay, are we?
Can I give you a technology update?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, well, we hosted a 2-hour workshop this morning, and we just made the mistake of not having chargers with us. So Jess is grabbing a charger. You don't have a presentation. You can't project right now, but you're welcome to keep teaching us if you'd like. And we will be able to resolve this issue in 7 minutes.
I'm ready.
Thank you, Sherry.
Yes.
What do they eat?
They mostly eat fish. And somebody in here knows the P word for that. Yes, where mostly they eat fish, but they will eat other things, okay? They have been known to eat a baby duck. Now, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen sometimes. And when they're migrating, mostly fish. They mostly concentrate on fish. But if they're in a not so good area, and some of the young ones often do this, is they will eat crabs. And like all your rusty crayfish you want to get rid of, they're glad to eat it, especially the juveniles. They do that a lot. So, and then there are lakes in the west, in the western part, Nevada and places like that. There's some lakes there that don't have any fish. And there's a few loons there, and they're eating frogs, crayfish, leeches, not really snakes, but leeches, stuff like that, snails, yeah, which isn't as nutrient as fish. So fish is, if you've got it, and they need to really have, if they're going to have babies and chicks, they've got to have fish at all different levels. They've got to have little bitty macroinvertebrates, and then a little bit bigger, and then little minnows, okay, all the way up until they can, yes, questions, you guys, yes.
You talked about murky waters, during the migration or whatever. It brought to mind the algae bloom up here, especially shagwat, which is like green paint. I've never seen our loons that appear in that stuff.
Yeah, they try to stay away from area. If it doesn't have, they are visual hunters. So if there's a lot of mucky muck, they're going to try to stay away from that. What's hard is if they already got kicked off of their good lake or their good territory, and now this is the only lake they have. So then that's difficult. So, yeah. And I know there's also, I don't watch TV because I watch Loons. And there's a lot of drama. A lot of drama. So, this gives me an opportunity to talk about Tofty Lake Drama 2025. So I'm going to that lake. I know it's had a hard time because one male didn't come back. So there's been kind of a switch. It's kind of like they don't know who's in charge. So nobody's in charge right now. So there tends to be 10 of them, 12 of them, and they're having a party, Well, finally this year, a male came in and took charge. All right? And if you ask the art center at Tofty, they name them. They name them like Ethel and Stanley or something like that. Anyway, so Stanley is in charge, okay? So I've seen him. I know where the nesting area usually is. He got it together with the female. They got on the nest. They had an egg. They had a chick. Okay, that's great. But before that chick hatched, he was torn because there was a single, I'm guessing it's a young female, a single that was hanging out between, I'm not making this shit up. Kid believes everything I say. Anyway, so between the art center, the Tofty Art Center, and then they do yoga and all kinds of good stuff. And they helped Lacey. She had a couple breakdowns and she went there, didn't she? Okay. And so between the art center and the boat landing, where most of us go in and out, is where this young female, and she's been doing this for a couple of years. Now, she's not aggressive. She's not trying to take over. My guess is that she's young. She's got the breeding plumage, so she's 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, maybe 6. They start to, 6 or 7 years old, they start to get a territory. They're having socials in the middle of the lake. Unbelievable, especially for the male, right? Unbelievable. So, I had to stay there for hours to figure this out. So, I did not see the male or the female. I figured they were in the nesting area in that one bay. So, and I was still by the, I didn't get the boat in the water yet. There was so much drama. And so I was waiting for them, and then, but I saw, and so they were this social of about, I think it was about six. So other ones that didn't have a good place, or their nest got flooded, or they didn't, it didn't work. So they were just socializing with this young thing that hung, I don't know what to call her, the Tofty gal, the Tofty hussy. Okay, so I'm like watching that and thinking, okay, because I didn't know for sure. You can't tell them apart. Okay, you can't tell the male from the female. If you see her lay the egg, that's the female. That's what the researchers say. If you see him do a yodel, that's the male, because that's his signature call. Okay, so I'm watching and watching. Oh, I better hurry up. So I'm watching, and sure enough, he notices way back in there. He comes wing rowing as fast as he can. Not all the way out of the bay, but at the mouth of the bay, and he is letting those yodels, the crouch yodel, and he's just screaming at them. Immediately, all those visitors take tail, take off, and they fly. They get out of there as fast as they can. Then, the interesting thing is, he stayed near that because he was trying to, maybe the chick was going to hatch pretty soon, and he didn't want to, and he looked at her, and he gave her a tongue lashing. It was whale after whale after whale. those vocalizations, and she did not say a thing. She went right back to the Trophy Center and hung out. And so that chick did survive, and he was in charge of all of the other socializing going on that lake.
Sherry, how many breeding pairs can be on Tofty? How big is the lake?
Tofty is only 100 and something, so one
One
breeding
pair.
family, one pair.
Because it's 100 acres.
Yeah,
for-
it's about 100 acres. 100 to 200 acres is about all for one family. And it depends on the shoreline too, because that can change things. Are we ready? How'd I do?
You did so good.
Okay, all right. So eBird, thank you. Everybody who does eBird, raise your hand and pat yourself on the back, because that is helping us know that they're also in other places. Now, obviously, these are some other loons, you know, that usually go to this area anyway, but we definitely could be zeroing in on more research over there. Okay, let's go. There I am, oh my God. Okay, with a silly hat on. Okay, there's our boat captain, Brooks. If it wasn't for the fact that this Florida boy, whoops, are you okay?
Yeah, I just.
This Florida boy knew what a loon was, and he called Dr. Paruk, Dr. James Paruk, and said, Dr. Paruk, I think you better get over here, pull your car over, we need to talk. And sure enough, so he owns the company that has all the 7 boats that they use, so they have a regular business, you know, for money, and then they do their nonprofit is us, the loon people, as well as the kids. They allow kids from all the schools who have never been on a boat, never had a life jacket, never went fishing, never touched a salamander. I mean, it's amazing. So he and his wife Kay, amazing. There's Dr. J. Mager there. We're trying to find a bird. We use binoculars, the stopwatch. Somebody's got to be on the stopwatch, sometimes 2 people, to get the dive times. Data sheet I'm filling out usually. The interval, so every 2 minutes we got to write down something. Every 2 minutes, and of course I'm writing down stuff in between, right? But at least every 2 minutes we got to write down certain things. And then sometimes we have people, anybody who wants to have a wild time and you're good at photography, we welcome you to join us. Okay, so there we are again, me talking, of course. There's Jay behind me. Time activity budget is the sheet that I'm working on over there. It's rainproof paper, because yes, we've gotten poured on before. Since that is next to Seattle, Washington, that has the most rain on the United States. Okay, we got to write down the weather, the wind, the air, the water temperature, the cloud cover, water clarity by the Secchi dish. Okay? Behavior observations. There's one of our timers. Usually we are recording for 1 whole hour on one bird. And if that bird disappears and doesn't come up for 4 minutes, it's really hard to find them. So it has happened before. So every 2 minutes we're supposed to write, it's still under the water, or it's still foraging, or no, it's preening now. So we're going to write down the behavior state of the one we're watching. And we try to do 4 birds a day at least, so that's 1 hour for every bird. Is it doing locomotion, preening, resting, foraging, or aggression, which usually we don't see until the very end of March. Distance to the body length to the closest loon, so we can tell, are they really in a group or not? The group size, or are they alone? The vocalizations that they do, hoots, tremolos, wails, yodels, and then the mews and clucks are usually for the breeding season, not usually for us. And then other observations, we got to write the dive times. Did they do any wing flapping and foot waggling? So here's again. Do you see how different they look? Isn't that something? Some of them this is like a number 2 molt. Okay, it's just got a few little dots. And then this one's got more. This is about a number 3 molt. But no real dark head yet. There's a dark head, that's a number 5. Okay, so it's already, and then you can see this one is anyway, so we gotta pick, and we all have to agree on the boat which one it is. Okay, so we look for little things. you know, like something, a little black mark here, or a little mustache mark down here, or something a little bit different. It's got much more of a white cheek, then we might pick that one because the other ones look different. What's really hard is we pick one and then it moves in a group. And then there's a bunch that look the same. Oh my gosh, that's the hardest part. Okay. So locomotion. We know that this one is, isn't that beautiful? Look at that. This is a number 3 molt, so it's partway through the molt. But it's making a wake there. Anytime you make a wake, that means, okay, we'll mark that as locomotion right now. There's some preening behavior, bathing, self-maintenance, zipping up those feathers, and using the oil gland that's down by the tail and making it all over. And then once you do your back, then you do this, where you can get all that oil on your back. So they have to zip up their feathers, use the oils, and that's why they can even go under the ice when you see them in the spring and catch fish and come back out and be like, no big deal, because I've zipped up my feathers. Okay. So resting behavior, obviously with the head in, and then I just threw a summer one in, because that's what you're usually going to see. A band right here, unfortunately, this poor guy had very poor preening, and it ended up dying probably of lead poisoning, because there's a bunch of fishermen there, and I think this one we ended up catching him later and he died. So foraging behavior under the water, of course. Some of them do long, deep dives. Just 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It's long, deep dives. Other ones do this stuff like wolves do. They herd together and they go for the bait fish. They go for a big cloud of bait fish. We call it a bait ball. I don't think the fishermen like us to call it that, but it's a group of fish. And it's kind of like a big cloud of fish. So when they get together, then they can do that. And they have very short dives, very quick, short dives. And then they're doing it as a group. So we are going to try this. We're going to try this. And we're going to give this to you. There's a bunch of videos. Over here? Yep. To do it. You have to do it in. Are you sure that's a video? Yeah, that's a video, because see this swirl here? They're working on a bait ball.
Let me get in here quick.
Maybe can you do it on the pad? There, I see it. There we go. Yeah, this one. Remember, it doesn't really have a wiggly thing. That's refraction from the water, the waves on the water. So it looks deformed. But their feet are way, way back. Way back. And they're a torpedo. They do not use their wings. They do not use their wings underwater. That's just pressed and complete. It's just not going to go.
This particular video will not work.
Okay.
But we can try the next one.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what it was supposed to do, which maybe we'll get it working sometime, is just lots of ups and downs, okay? So we're saying up, how many seconds, down, and all that kind of stuff. So it just goes up and down, and there's all of them. It's like this. It's just crazy. And then sometimes you will get belted kingfishers coming across to pick up some of the fish that's flying in the air. It's like a cloud of fish that comes up and is bouncing on the top of the... They were still listening.
Hard.
Oh my God. Yeah. The battery.
We're having microphone issues now on the journey of Tuesday groups. So.
Keep going for a minute.
Okay, keep going for a while. All right. So anyway, that's what that's about. Now this one, can you see, was a loon. So it's marked as a solitary bird. Look at how interesting, again, look at that molt, huh? It got a great big brown trout, because there's trout. Not only that, the birds, the loons that stopped here, they're like, look at it, they're putting in 33,000 fish. They're stocking it. What a great idea. Threadfin shad is a bait fish. And some kind of herring is also. So there's two big bait, like dumping bait fish in there all the time. I mean, this is a no-brainer. And so there's trout, there's this kind of trout, brown trout. So, anyway, so it took him, we watched him, her, whatever, since we don't know if it's male or female. It took about 10 minutes to get that baby down the throat. No kidding, about 10 minutes. And then it just sat there. Okay. There you go. I'm getting worked out today. All right, here's another one. This one is them. Yeah, let's try. Should we try it? It's them hitting. This is aggression. So there's two of them that have the black heads already. So two of them have black heads, okay? So this was later in March. And so black heads, they're doing yodels, which means they're male, they're pumped up, they're getting ready to come back here. So they were like going at each other. They would get some vulture posture yodels, and then some penguin posture.
Just closed out for some reason, I don't know why.
And it was, not very long, just a few minutes, just enough to, tick each other off, and then they kind of separated. The other ones didn't pay attention or didn't get involved. I did hear a couple of whale calls, so they were just like, ooh, what's going on? Okay. All right, do we have to go to a question then? Oh my God, I'm exhausted.
Let's just see if.
No, I'm not. I'm having a great time. This is the best day I've had in 2 weeks. Yeah. Yes.
So just to kind of confirm this, when they go south, they don't really do the territory thing?
No, they don't do the territory thing. The only time we see them do the territory thing, which is a good thing to say, is when they're getting ready to leave. Okay, they're getting ready to leave the south and come up north, because that's when they're gonna. Yeah, they not really territory. But we did find that some of them do go back to the same place. Bob, who we know his bands, one color over this and other color over that on each leg. He always goes to horse pasture, and he has a group of like 12. The reason why we know Bob so well is he loves to be caught. We don't know why Bob wants to be caught, but yes, and he makes sure that he does a foot wrangle, so that we can see his bands really good. So, okay, Bob, we see you.
I think we got it, Sherry.
No, he doesn't know. We don't give any treats on him. Very bad, yeah. In fact, we really don't want fishermen to do that. If they start, oh, this one's not good enough, here we'll just, oh, look, the loon's there, here, let's throw it to the loon. Oh, that's like bad news. Then what do they say? A fed bear is a dead bear. A fed loon is a dead loon. So you don't want that to happen.
Okay, we're going to try it.
Okay, we're going to try it again. If not, we'll just go through these. We still have lots of
I need the microphone.
information.
I'm sorry. Let's see what happens.
Crouch yodel 2.
I haven't gotten that.
Yeah. So 2 of them were going at each other. I'm sorry, it's, we don't have professional photographers yet. So we just have people who are trying.
Yeah, there's going to be a rumble in the.
There you go. There you go, see? So there's a penguin, and then going into a vulture posture. Yeah. So we were like writing this down. I'm trying to write it down, and everybody's yelling out this and that. But that kind of gives you an idea. Yeah. Okay. And then, see, I wish we can't do this. It's okay. We can just stop. Yeah. Usually we can tell, like when it's just on my computer, it goes. So body length. This is one of the things we have to say. Oh, this is maybe a couple of body lengths. So let's say we were doing this one, then we would say a couple body lengths, but it's in a group of 3. Okay, so that's what we have to kind of write down. go ahead. So there's a crouch yodel, there's vulture yodel down there, you can see that. And then we did these, I don't know if we want to try these, okay. You guys, in fact, this one's missing right now. So I don't know what happened there. Okay, anyway, usually you do not hear any yodels until the very end, near the end of March and into April. Wail only occasionally. Tremolos hardly at all, because they're not flying for one reason, and they're not defending a territory. But hoots, lots of them. Lots and lots of hoots. So if you have this whole group of 12, that whole group of 12 is going on that bait ball, right? Okay, so somebody sticks their head under and peers. There's the bait ball. So they come up and they say, hoot, hoot, and then they all hoot, 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 and then they all dive down. And they do it together, kind of like, a group, like they know what they're doing. Okay, yes. Yes, okay, so we'll just, this one was probably one that was down. Oh, this is what I wanted to say too. Oh, you got it going? Okay. Okay, let's try that. Want to try this? Okay. No, let me do something else. This is opening, if they're gonna do a long, deep dive, they take a big breath and then a splash. So this one is on a bait ball by itself. See, it's quick, quick, up, down, and then Jay's trying to tell us what the bands are. So he's fine. He's with his binoculars. He's getting the color of the bands. Then that's good. Yeah. Yeah, they're not hearing the audio. Okay. So next. Yes. Go next.
Down.
Oh. Is that another one? This is, yeah, okay, to go forward, okay. This one is, they're just going up and down, up and down. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it.
Up. Down.
You guys can't hear it, can you? Down,
Down.
up, down, up. So I think we're doing the blackhead right there.
Up.
See, he's up.
Down.
And then there's a splash down. So they're working on a bait ball, but there's just a few of them. Just a few of them working on the bait ball. And thank goodness we picked the one with the black head, because that was easier
So
to...
when they're doing that bait ball like that, like, are they, when they do duck under, they're grabbing a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
They're grabbing fish either in the air or underneath.
They're hurting, but at the
Yeah,
same time, they're...
sometimes they have several. Some of those big fish are small, so they have several in it. And then you'll have a great blue heron that comes over the top, or you'll have some of the... yeah, some other birds that try. Go ahead. Go to the next. This one was a wing flap.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
One of the...
He's just doing that with his wings. See that? And wing flap.
Flap, got it. The other guy. No more surface, quick surface dive?
Nope.
Maybe.
He's gonna dive in a second. He just
They're kind of dying at the bait ball, and a big poop. Right there. A big poop. So sometimes we write that down too. Okay. So they just did a bait ball, right? So after that, it goes through the system. So we write down everything. Okay, wing flapping, different kinds of wing flapping here. And again, look, big white cheek. So this is very early in the molt. This one's almost done. That's almost a number 5, just a little bit of feathers got to come in. This one's kind of in between like a 3. Okay, good. Yes?
Another feeding question. So, like, on our end up here, I know they have to eat a lot more to fly that far.
Yeah.
And you probably witnessed that in some way.
Yes. Oh, yes. Up here.
And then down there, it's like before they're coming north. So there, you do get to witness. There's a difference in feeding habits all of a sudden to prepare for the flight.
To prepare, yes. So whether it's where they're here in Minnesota and they're getting ready to go, there's a lot of eating, The researchers call it hyperphagia, where you just eat, like 90% of your time is eating or whatever. Okay, let's go ahead. There's a little foot waggle thing that they were doing there. Yeah, that's okay. Let's go to the next. Okay, so wing rowing, you now know the story of some wing rowing on the Tofty drama. So on the surface, usually when they're chasing or being chased. Now, that doesn't happen very much down there, because once they're ready, then they're going to leave, right? They're going to migrate up here. So we don't see that very much, just once in a while. Okay, where down here we see that more. In the spring, you probably see that all the time on the spring, in the early spring. Okay, molting stages, this is like a level 1, very gray, level 1. This is more like a 3. This is more like a 4, it's getting darker, and there's a 5 for the winter plumage getting back to the breeding plumage. Okay.
Does the eye color change?
Yeah, the eye.
Is that part of the molting, or is that something else?
Eye color usually is browner in the winter.
Why is that?
Maybe hormones. I don't know. And the other thing is the red eye doesn't really happen until they're after 3 years old. So it's also hawks the same thing. They get a different, a more red eye later.
And does that have to do with the vision at all?
No, not really. There's different theories about it. Some people say the red eye helps them look all dark underwater so they can get prey better. That's one theory. We don't have it proven at all. Another theory is something about the red spectrum in the water helps them. So there's a couple different theories. We don't have a for sure. Okay, it can take, sorry, go back one. It can take over 1 to 2 months, but it does take a lot of effort, a lot of nutrition and a lot of energy to do that. And you can see how different they are. Why does one molt so much faster than the other one? We don't know. Is that age? Is it, I don't know. We don't know. And there's a part of a big foot there too. You can see their feet are huge, even when they're a chick. Go ahead. And they'll flightless during the molt, right? That's why we can watch them for a whole hour. Now, sometimes somebody flies when you least expect. So then you have to tell the captain of the boat to get it in gear, and we're going as fast as we can to see where it's, and we're trying to keep it in the binoculars so it's landing over there. That usually doesn't happen till the end, and usually to somebody that's already got a black head. But I had a subadult that did that last winter, and I thought, that is a weird whale you're doing right there. That doesn't sound like an adult doing a whale. And it was all gray. It was an all gray. And then I thought, oh my, I bet this is a subadult. And I thought, it's gonna fly. Because it still has its flight feathers. And sure enough, the thing took off. And then our engine died. So I had a few expletives, anyway, and we did get, I had enough people on the boat with binoculars and we were able to get it. But yes, flightless during the molt, but you can see all different things. I wanted you to make sure you saw that. Go ahead. And then this is social behavior. We can just go ahead. I know it's good. They're just circling. If they just circle like this, real nice. Nobody's getting ticked off. Nobody's doing a big, vocalization of any kind. That's okay. Go ahead. And this one is just bill dipping in hoots. Okay, she's trying to get in. Yeah, this is just 2 of them. It's a dark head and an all gray. And they're just going around, and maybe sometimes that subadult hung out with an older, looked like an older one, and then later on left it, when it took off. Go ahead, Rhea. So, overwintering changes. It's only been studied the last 10 to 15 years, which is very different than the 45 years that we have for the breeding areas. So, using different, we found out from eBird that they're overwintering in some different areas, not just the ocean. And oceans do have increased oil spills and severe storms. We do have climate change going on. Most of the juveniles and subadults we think are on the ocean. But we have had 7 juveniles that stayed all winter on Jocassee, no, all summer on Jocassee, and that's never happened before. But because we have Brooks there and his whole crew, you know, he's got a bunch of staff, they watch out for that kind of stuff. So mostly there are no loons there in the summer, but that one summer they had some juvenile. Okay, so on Lake Jocassee, some stuff. 5% of the loons were subadults. That means 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, before they get their breeding plumage. There are less mortality factors, higher water quality, definitely, and clarity, less predators, no salt. We have 10 banded birds there that have shown they go back to the same area, the same little river area like Bob. 7 subadults did stay during the summer of 20, oh no, it was 2 summers, okay. And then Lake Jocassee is not a breeding lake. Nobody's having chicks there. I mean, maybe some ducks are, but not loons. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, but it is a stopover place for migration. So this is what Jay and Jim have figured out, Paruk and Mager. 33% of the loons are solitary, prefer to be solitary. The 66% do some kind of social groups, and both solitary and social make about that many dives per hour. There's no weight difference between the solitary, so they both must be getting the same amount of food, which is good. Let's go. Solitary birds forage 64% of their time. So if you're solitary, this is how much you're working and diving, right? And they usually get trout, bass, and suckers. Sometimes up to 4 minutes it takes them. Social birds work cooperatively on a bait ball, and they forage about 55%. But if you're highly social and you love groups, like Lacey, you get only 38% work time, and the rest of it is, okay, so social birds dive for less duration, like they only go 1 or 2 seconds, as opposed to the other ones, which is a long couple of minutes. Social birds often vocalize with their hoots. Yes, that is the most fun thing, to just be there and, you know, you're just trying to write stuff down and they start hooting, and then you pay attention and they're all gonna dive. When they locate blue back herring, thread fin shad, that's it, okay? And time activity budgets that we write all this stuff on, foraging time for an average, locomotion time less, and you're certainly not flying yet, resting time about that much, and preening and self-maintenance about 11%, and aggression very low. You know, that's only going to happen at the very last before they're taken off for migration. And younger subadults do seem to take more time. The researchers can tell when there's a subadult. I can't tell as much. I only could tell that one not because of its feathers, but because of its weird wail. It was just like, that sounds like a juvenile.
And Sherry, the rest of the time, like they don't get down there and build a nest because they
Nope.
only need the nest for having chicks.
That's
so they are just living on the water.
They are just, they sleep on the water, they rest on the water, yes. That's right, go ahead. We're almost done here. Adult loons that reach breeding plumage first appear to be more aggressive, those dark heads, and vocalize more, and they practice flying. We have had to get the boat going full speed to make sure we got the rest of the data. If we miss 3 sections of the data, then it's no good. Molting process is 1 to 2 months, lots of preening, lots of feathers all over. In fact, we're starting to collect feathers because there's a genome group that's trying to figure out if we can get those feathers, maybe we can figure out where they come from. Are some of them not just from the Midwest, but from some other areas? And then they do, lots of preening, intense feeding, fuel loading that you were asking about, Peta, increase those fat reserves because it's needed for migration. And and they call that hyperphagia. where they're, yeah, okay, go ahead. And then, what the heck? Yes, that was the first time I saw a Pacific loon. Okay, wait a minute. Atlantic Ocean is where they're spawned. Wait, Pacific, yes, it's smaller than ours. For 2 winters, a Pacific loon, and Nina Schock is the head of the Adirondack Center, and when the eBird people found out about this, they had to call us up and make sure we knew what we were talking about. Okay, so good thing we had Nina and Jay on the boat. So, yes, do you see how elegant? It's very different than ours. It's a very different kind of neck area. Anyway, so here's the thing about this. There was only one. There wasn't 2. These are just 2 pictures of that one. So when I got to see it too, but when we tried to just get the boat a little bit closer, it's very skittish. So it went, ah! And it does not even have our loon vocalization. It doesn't have the common loon vocalization. So anyway, it was hard to get a picture of it. So, all right. And that was just two times, 2 winters. Okay, beginning of spring migration now. Dr. Paul Spitzer invites all of you to come to
Apalachicola,
the
Gulf of Mexico.
On the Gulf of Mexico, Apalachicola. You go up at 5 a.m. in the morning, you go to the very, very top of the tower, and you can count 1,000 loons leaving. And then if there's clouds way out there, you can count 500 loons coming back, because they didn't want to go to a storm. So he invites you. He's been doing this for a long time. His biggest group of loons that left was 11 on one morning. Early morning, okay? And then up to 500 missions have been aborted because of a storm, and they came back. But the migration is initiated at photo period. You probably know that. Migration day for the loons. Paul Spitzer believes, and he's one of the other researchers, believes before daybreak, they're on an empty stomach, so they're not as heavy, right? And due to their heavy wing loading, they use open bill to get the heat, away, help with the heat. And they use their feet as a rudder. You know how to do that now. I taught you how to do that. Okay. And 3 wing beats per second, no soaring. They can't soar like at Hawk Ridge, all those birds, because they would just fall to the ground. They can't, they're too heavy. So 3 wing beats per second. Perfect weather with a tailwind, no clouds, no storms. That's what they need. Bad weather results in lots of aborted missions due to the distance over land, and their wings get totally iced just like a bird on their face and everything. We've had in Antigo, Wisconsin, they've had at least 3 crashes of birds that are totally iced over in April. I hope it doesn't happen again, but it has happened 3 different years. Okay, so that, I think we're almost, there's their path again, this time in the spring, going up. Okay, and we can go ahead. Are there trade-offs for being solitary or in a group? Who are those members in the group? We don't know. Male, female, older, younger? Are there members of the group different ages or genders? Are the loons that molt first in their breeding plumage, are they more experienced? Are they older? Do they know what they're doing? Okay, go ahead. So more questions. How can we improve the banding so that we can know more about them? Some loons are changing their winter location. Why are not other loons changing it? Why some stay at Jocassee for the winter and others just pass through? How many birds use Jocassee? We're trying to do that the last week of March and into April, is counting them in the morning and in the evening. Where are the birds breeding? Midwest Canada or where else? Question mark. Go ahead. There's some references for you, and then do the last slide. Just want to make a big thank you to Jim, who got this started, Jay Mager, and then co-investigate Brooks and Kay, and all those volunteers. We have at least 20 volunteers per 10 on the first week I go, and then 10 again on the next week that I go. And then all the photos were done by Abby and Jay for that one. Okay, go back to that one just in case they want to Do that. There you go. Okay, we're all done. Thank you for being so patient.